Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel for a video on a topic that I think needs to be spread as far and wide as humanly possible, because this is one of the most unbelievably pathetic situations that I've ever seen within the Star Wars gaming community. And not only is it pathetic, it's manipulative, unprofessional, and downright despicable. This all has to do with one of EA's increasingly notorious development studios, Capital Games, who are the studio in charge of Galaxy of Heroes, which is basically the only actively supported Star Wars mobile game that's even on the market right now. If you want to play a mobile Star Wars game that isn't just a port of an older game, Galaxy of Heroes is pretty much all you've got to work with, and the game has an impressively dedicated community both in terms of YouTube creators and viewers who are watching that content. Unfortunately, this dedicated community of both creators and viewers are being completely mistreated by the studio who makes the game, and it's both pathetic and sad, as from the looks of things, Capital Games seems to have outright contempt for their player base, and are targeting individual YouTubers in a way that is so petty, it's almost hard to believe. For a little bit of context, just in case some of you aren't familiar, Galaxy of Heroes is a very solid example of what is wrong with many of the most popular modern mobile games. That's not to discredit everything about the game, but Galaxy of Heroes is notorious for requiring players who want to stay even somewhat competitive to spend huge amounts of money. The game also receives consistent updates that add new characters to the game, and to get these characters and participate in certain events, you need to spend even more money, and we are talking hundreds of dollars per character. I watched a video of a guy unlocking Galactic Legend Rey, and apparently this guy had spent over $700 just for that one version of Rey. If my tone didn't give it away, because of this, I don't play Galaxy of Heroes. I do think that everyone out there is a big boy and can decide how to spend their own money, but personally, I have no interest in pouring money into a mobile game. This tends to be the case with a lot of mobile games I try out, but I remember downloading Galaxy of Heroes when it first released in 2017, playing it for a few hours before realizing what I was getting into and promptly deleting it, forgetting about it completely. However, many people still get a lot of enjoyment out of Galaxy of Heroes, much like playing Battlefront 2 is something I love doing. It never really mattered to me that some people didn't like Battlefront 2, because I do, flaws at all, and I'm sure the same is the case for Galaxy of Heroes fans. With that said, you would think that Capital Games, whose primary focus is Galaxy of Heroes, would treat their dedicated player base well. I mean, you don't want to alienate the people who are actually supporting your game. Even if you are going to milk them for every single penny possible with some of the most predatory microtransactions in gaming history, I have no idea why you'd want to actively be awful to your community, but apparently that's their strategy, and it's a bold one, and I don't know how it's going to work, because the way they've been treating their community of content creators is downright disgusting. The reason I wanted to talk about this today is because I feel like that community of creators kind of exists in its own little bubble, and I wanted to spread the word of just how petty this studio is outside of that bubble. Now, I'm going to have all of the Galaxy of Heroes YouTubers I reference in this video linked down in the description, so feel free to support those guys and check all of them out. But anyway, let's dive into this rabbit hole, which is an absolute show. The top creator in that community is a guy named Arnold, who has clearly been specifically targeted by Capital Games this week, and as I looked more into the past year or two of history with this studio, it's clear that his situation isn't the first like it. Arnold, along with some other Galaxy of Heroes YouTubers, has been occasionally critical of the game over the past few months, and Capital Games apparently didn't like that criticism and took it as an opportunity to target him specifically. Arnold explains in a video he posted yesterday that Capital Games has banned one of his accounts for what they describe as repeat offenses. Basically, this account is one he's been using for a while now. It used to be the account of what the Galaxy of Heroes community calls a kraken, which is basically a step above a whale. If you don't know what a whale is, it's someone who frequently spends large sums of real money in a mobile game, and a kraken is a level up from a whale. I tried to find a number of what exactly a kraken spends, and from what I was able to find, some krakens spend upwards of $10,000 a year in Galaxy of Heroes, and the account that Arnold uses for his videos had over $50,000 invested into it. Just to clarify, that's 50,000 real US dollars, not Monopoly money or V-Bucks. Anyway, when Arnold reached out for help with a bug he was experiencing on that account and gave them his exact username, Capital Games took that as an opportunity to outright ban his account, and when he tried to get an explanation, the reason they gave was complete bogus, saying he wasn't allowed to use that account. As Arnold explains it, account transfers like the one he received is completely common practice within the community, and no one ever gets banned for it. It would basically be the equivalent of DICE trying to ban me for using a cosmetic mod on PC, even though they've never banned anyone for that before. If I was somehow banned for using a cosmetic mod, which no one ever has been, it would be very clear that it was them specifically targeting me just because I said something they didn't like. With that aside, Capital Games doesn't even permanently ban cheaters, even though they claim to have a no tolerance policy. They'll ban a guy like Arnold who helps the community in a major way with his videos and content, yet give cheaters second and third chances. There are leaked messages out there from confirmed cheaters talking with developers where they had given the cheater a warning, something Arnold didn't even get the courtesy of even though they were singling him out in the first place, and when this person cheated again, they still didn't ban him and gave him the option of a 7-day suspension where he could choose when the suspension started. So let's say I get convicted of robbing a Chuck E. Cheese, and for that horrible offense I have been sentenced to a life in prison. However, I get to choose when this sentence starts, so I think I'll just start my sentence, let's say 145 years from now. I mean, it's basically a joke. If you get to choose when your suspension starts, what's the point? And at any rate, it's only a 7-day suspension for outright cheating, and that's after this guy had already gotten a first warning. On the other hand, you have Arnold, the top creator for this game, who does a ton for them. I mean, he pulls in more advertising via his channel alone than the official trailers they put out for this game. And then they don't even give this guy the courtesy of a warning for something they don't ever enforce in the first place. I mean, it's just a complete and utter joke. Looking into this situation, I was in disbelief, and believe it or not, this might not even be the worst thing they've done, because there has been some straight up blackmail from this studio. Both Cubs fan Han and Mobile Gamer talk about this, and they are also Galaxy of Heroes creators, but back when Marvel Strike Force came out, which is another game similar to Galaxy of Heroes, Capital Games was basically blackmailing all of their biggest creators. I guess Galaxy of Heroes used to have a game changer program where some of the biggest creators in that community could get access to content just a bit early and also some other similar perks. Around the time that Marvel Strike Force was releasing, many of the creators in that Game Changer program also started making content on Marvel Strike Force because it's a similar game that their subs would likely be interested in, and also it would be another way for them to grow. Well, Capital Games didn't like that, and told their Game Changers if they stopped making Marvel Strike Force videos, they would fly them out to events, give them in-game advertisements for their channel, and other really awesome perks, but only on the condition that they stop promoting Marvel Strike Force. Well, most of those creators stopped posting those videos, sacrificing a game that would almost certainly help them grow, but it was worth the promises that Capital Games were making and would help their channels immensely. Well, the hype from Marvel Strike Force died down, and Capital Games promptly ended the Game Changer program entirely, not making good on most of those promises. I mean, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure out that they purposely lied to the Game Changers, making a ton of promises they had no intention of ever following through on, and then once Marvel Strike Force was less of a threat, they just cut the Game Changer program as a whole. I mean, that is some next level manipulation of your biggest supporters. Furthermore, I can't even begin to imagine a company trying to tell me what I can and can't post on my channel. They have literally no right to do that. It's not like Game Changers sign a contract in blood that says they can only post Galaxy of Heroes videos for now until the end of time. I am pretty open and critical of Battlefront 2, and I am not a Battlefront game changer, but on my Call of Duty Zombies channel QNightZ, which I'm only active on when there's new zombies, but through that channel I've worked with Activision and Treyarch like 6 or 7 times. They've flown me out to LA to play the new Zombies maps, they've put me up in a hotel, and all of the Treyarch developers and Activision people who put us on the trips have been nothing but extremely courteous to me. Literally all they require of us YouTubers is that we don't leak things before they officially release. That is it. If we hate the map, we're allowed to say that, and they certainly aren't going to tell us what videos we can post on other games. That's insane, and I can't believe Capital Games even tried that. It makes them look so insecure. Another similar situation with the Game Changer program happened to the first YouTuber we talked about, Arnold, who actually had Capital Games reach out to him and both threaten and lie directly to him, saying he had signed some contract that gave Capital Games control over the type of content he posted, and were telling him that he had to remove one of his videos, and if he didn't, they would take legal action against him. Well, Arnold responded and asked when he signed this contract, and lo and behold, it didn't exist. Obviously, Capital Games is an EA development studio, they own them outright, but I really think someone higher up at EA needs to step in here, because this is downright embarrassing behavior from a studio. Not to mention, I can't imagine it's legal to blackmail someone with legal action on the basis of a made-up contract. It makes me somewhat thankful to think that the devs over at DICE are mostly professional. When I criticize, say, Battlefront 2, I want that criticism to help improve the game, and to DICE's credit, they don't ever stamp their feet like immature children because I criticize them. In most cases, when the community has legitimate feedback, they at least try to fix the problem, even if it ends in more bugs half the time. It's not always perfect, but at least they try. Well guys, that is going to do it for today's video. I highly recommend you support these Galaxy of Heroes YouTubers. I'll have all the guys I mentioned in this video linked in the description. If you did enjoy, I'd definitely appreciate it if you could leave this video a like, and if you are new around here, feel free to subscribe. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.
I'm solo.